Okay, it's not the best angle set up here, but we're gonna have to make it work because my kitchen is small, so deal with it. We are gonna make harvest bread. I think we're gonna work with this setup here. I'm a little bit tall, so I'm gonna have to shrink down to talk to you guys. So, it's funny because my grandma actually wrote down this recipe for me a long time ago, and I love it. However, my sweet grandmother, on both sides here, wrote down just the dry ingredients, just a copy of both on both sides. I think one side was meant to be like the wet ingredients and one side was meant to be the dry ingredients. But my dear sweet grandma in her old age just copied the same thing twice. So this is an incomplete recipe. I don't know why I still have it. I know that this recipe is like this. So every time I make harvest bread, I always have to call my mother and ask her to send me her copy because my copy is broken. So I have the recipe from my mother. My mother saved the day, as she always does. So we are going to start with half a cup of butter, which I did not, I was going to say thaw out. I guess thaw out, but soften is the right word. So I'm going to go soften that. It's not the best angle, but we're going to have to make it work. So I did not plan this out very well, but you know, I don't really plan out many things. So, okay, we do half a cup of, wait a minute, is this right? Yeah, this is right. Misty. Yes, this is right. Okay. Also, another trick is like growing up, whenever we would make this, we would always double. Hi. Growing up, whenever we would make this, we would always double the batch to use the whole can of pumpkin. Today, I'm not going to do that because I just don't want 2 loaves of pumpkin bread or harvest bread. I'm sorry to call it. It's not pumpkin bread. It is harvest bread. So I'm only going to do one batch today. So half of a cup of butter, which is a full stick. Okay. I'm gonna start I always just whisk that together. Oh, that wasn't the right side. 1 cup of sugar. Thank God I have pumpkin. That's good enough for now. Okay, I have 1 can of pumpkin here that I can't get open. That's like the worst, like, cutting job I think I have ever done. Wow, okay. Well, we're gonna have to make this work. So I use half this can, which I don't even know. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Okay. And you pour all your wet ingredients in first. I'm also gonna crack in 2 eggs. Well, actually, I'm gonna stop this. I was gonna be brave, but I'm not that brave today. Okay. Okay, so those are all of the wet ingredients. Now, you're gonna hang out with me. Again, I'm very tall, so we're gonna have to, you know, I'm gonna have to come down on your level and be friends. But I'm gonna measure out all the dry ingredients. Now, I did not do this ahead of time, so either you guys are gonna watch me measure out all the dry ingredients, or I'm gonna edit this out. Who's to say? So, since this is my first video, ever, I might talk about a little bit about myself. Or maybe I won't if I get too distracted. No, forget it, I'm not going to. Okay, so it's 1 3/4 of a cup of flour. So I'm gonna measure out 1 cup here. And it's kind of funny, I'll show you guys in a second here. but it's kind of funny. 1 cup of flour. Oops. Here's my 3/4 cup. So, you know, it's kind of funny because I always measure out like my flour and sugar and all that stuff in my little measuring cups like this, but then I end up pouring it into my big measuring cup. I could just measure it in here, but this is a 4-cup measuring cup, and I will measure it in here if I'm using like 3 cups plus, but it's really hard because it's so, if you put just like a little bit extra, you're gonna not really notice a difference. So these are more accurate, I find, when it comes to measuring, so that's why I use those. Okay, and then to this, I'm going to add baking soda. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Oh, my battery's gonna die. Hang on 1 second, my battery's gonna die. Okay, battery died, but we're back. So, I have the flour. I'm gonna measure out 1 teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder. I have gotten those confused before. I will not admit how many times. Okay, half a teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon or half a teaspoon? Half a teaspoon of salt, not 1 teaspoon. That'd be a lot of salt. Half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. Something you may or may not notice about me is that I always put things away like as I'm done with them when I'm baking. Part of that is just I'm just a neat freak, and the other part of that is my kitchen is too small to leave everything out. And so my counters get cluttered very fast, so it's nice to have things put away. Half a teaspoon of nutmeg. 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. That's actually kind of a lot of cloves. If you guys bake, you know what I'm talking about. Because cloves, you really don't use that much in baking. Is there no cinnamon? Oh, there it is. A teaspoon of cinnamon. I almost forgot that. So what I do when I bake is I have all of my dry ingredients in here. Just my spices are just on top and the flour is on the bottom. So now it's time to combine the dry with the wet. Maybe this angle will be better. I'm learning, you guys. You're gonna have to bear with me. So I'm gonna start this again. Actually, I'm gonna put a little bit in first, and then I'm gonna start it again. Add more of the dry in. Actually, I might add the rest of it in. Yep, that's the rest of it. Alright, so we're just going to mix this all together until it's all combined. Okay, I'm going to scrape down the side of the bowl. Okay, 1 more mixy mix. So this is kind of the secret ingredient here. We're going to add chocolate chips into it. So this recipe is different. I just want to say this recipe is different from pumpkin bread, just traditional pumpkin bread, because it has more spices in it, and it also has chocolate chips in it, which in theory you could add chocolate chips into pumpkin bread if you wanted to. But yeah, harvest bread is different in that way. So, chocolate chips, 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips. Where did my 3/4 cup go? Here it is. Okay, we're going to add the chocolate chips in. And we are going to combine again, but we're going to do it really gently because we don't want to break down the chocolate chips at all. We just want to incorporate them. And that actually might be enough, honestly. We are going to pour it into our pan. This baby is ready to go in the oven. 350 for, okay, I gotta look at the time, hang on. So that is gonna cook for 1 hour at 350. I will see you guys when it's done. I'm getting better at this. And that are it, folks. Let me see if it's done. I don't know if it's done. That is it, folks. Now, I'm going to let it cool overnight, and I'm going to make frosting in the morning for it, because there is frosting that goes on top of it, and it is almost 10 o'clock at night, and I do not feel like waiting for this thing to cool down before I frost it, so I will see you guys in the morning. Hello, we are back. So, we are going to make some frosting. Something you should know about me is I can bake and I can cook very well. However, I have always been terrible at making frosting, and I've always blamed it on the fact that I did not have a stand mixer like I have now. I always blamed it on my little beaters, my hand beaters, because I couldn't whip the butter enough. So this will be my first time making frosting in my new KitchenAid stand mixer, and I'm very excited about it. So we're gonna make frosting. Let's see how it goes, because I have not made frosting in a very long time, because I suck at it. So how many times am I going to say I suck at it? So, we are going to set you down there. We're working with this setup again because I don't have a better option yet. It has been only 12 hours and 8 of those hours were sleeping. So, I have not thought of a better thing. So, we're going to start off. I actually softened the butter this time. I actually softened the butter overnight on the counter, which probably wasn't the smartest move. Oh well. So, we're going to use half of this stick. We're going to use 4 tablespoons of butter. Oh. I'm going to start off by whisking that together. Okay, I am whisking together the butter. I'm going to throw in, should I measure the powdered sugar? I probably should measure the powdered sugar. Okay, we're going to measure out 1 cup of powdered sugar. And then we need a little bit of milk. I don't really have cream. I did think about using this, not gonna lie, I did think about using that. We're just gonna stick with the almond milk, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna pour in a little bit of this. And also a little bit of this. And we'll watch magic happen, hopefully. Alright, here we go. Oh, this might not be good. Add more powdered sugar. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Okay, that actually looks like frosting. It's not very much, but that's actually what I'm going for because I don't need very much for the top of that little loaf. I don't need enough to cover a whole cake or anything. So this is actually might be good. I'm gonna add the rest of this powdered sugar, which you guys can't see because I'm not holding the camera very well. Okay, I think we're doing pretty well here. I'm actually pretty proud of this because I used to suck at this. Okay, I might have to add some more milk, but we're gonna do that. So, is this gonna be enough actually? It tastes good too. So this is the pumpkin bread that I baked. Pumpkin bread. I keep calling it pumpkin bread. My family's gonna kill me. It's harvest bread. This is a harvest bread that I baked yesterday. It looks beautiful. So hopefully it just comes out of the pan here. I didn't run a knife along it last night. Oh, it did. Perfect. Okay. So now I am going to frost this. See if we can get a good angle here. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. This is the frosting that we made. We don't have much, but we have all we need. Isn't that a song? Yeah, it was like, isn't that a Russell, what's his last name? Oh, I forgot what his last name is. It starts with a D, I think. The country artist song. We ain't got much, but we got all we need. That's what we got. This is actually going to be the perfect amount, I think. This is like the whole... You guys, that little plop was like the whole bowl. So, I think we're going to have just enough, which I don't... I could get fancy. Let's get fancy. This is going on YouTube. Because I have one of these. I actually don't love this one. I don't like the handle on it. It's kind of slippery. But, you know. Fancy isn't always better. Will it fit in here? We're gonna cut off the ends. Okay. So you guys, that is it for harvest bread.